Hi everyone, my name is Ivy and I'm here to help you have better money habits. So, saving money to buy a home or buy your first house seems almost impossible. And a lot of my friends think that it's super out of reach, they don't know where to start, or they think that house prices are just too ridiculous. But, I was able to save money in my 20s to buy a house in Toronto where it's one of the most expensive cities in the world. Like home prices here are ridiculous, but with my tips and tricks of how I started saving money, well, I was able to do that. So this is how I started saving money. So step one, or the first thing that I really did to save money, is having a budget, which honestly is the golden rule of saving money. The simplest way to do that is by having a 50, 30, or 20 rule. So 50% of your income after taxes will go to your necessities. 30% will go to your wants, like going out shopping, going out to dinners, or like all the fun stuff that you really want to do. And then 20% will go to your savings. Thinking of your money in buckets is a really good way to start your budget. It doesn't have to be like that super restrictive budget that a lot of people tell you to do, where you have to allocate this much money for rent, X percentage, like that. Just think of it in a simple way. But to make it even simpler for myself, I take that 20% rule of my savings and I immediately take it out of my bank account and I never look at it again. So the easiest way for me to stick to my budget is really having two bank accounts. One bank account is dedicated to my spending. So this is what I look at frequently. It's what I use to have in my wallet at all times. It's what I use to pay off my credit cards and really just the day-to-day stuff. And then I have one separate bank account that I really never touch or rarely touch. And that's where my 20% of my savings goes to immediately. It's such a good way for me to have like self-control to not touch my money that I'm trying to save. Because if it's, out of sight or out of mind, then I'm probably never going to touch it. And in my head, it's like, okay, this is for my savings goals. And the only time that I ever touch that separate bank account is when I go into like higher interest savings. I take that money that I've saved up for 2 months or 3 months, and then that's when I start, investing in like stocks and whatnot, because now I have like the money to be able to do that. After having that like budget and then having those two bank accounts, the third thing that I really started doing is using my credit card wisely. A lot of my friends think that it's super hard to do that because our mentality in the beginning of getting credit cards, it's like this endless money supply, right? You can just swipe or tap your card whenever you want, and then now you have like new cool shoes. But the moment you start thinking of your credit card as your debit card, you'll definitely change your habits with how to use your credit. I immediately think that, oh my God, my credit card is exactly like my debit card and I can't spend more than what I have, right? And then once I started doing that, I started paying off my credit card balance in full every month. I have no credit card debt. And at the same time, I'm also building my credit. Being able to use your credit card wisely, you're showing like all these lenders and creditors that you are responsible with your money. You're improving your credit score, which will ultimately help you when you start buying your first house. After you have a budget, you have that separation of your bank accounts, and then you start using your credit card really wisely. The last thing that I did to be able to buy a house in Toronto is having an attainable goal. And this goal has to be very specific with a deadline, right? So for example, in my first year of wanting to buy a house, I started off by saying, I want to save $10,000 in 1 year. And then I kind of worked backwards from there. I readjusted my budget of the 50, 30, 20 rule to be able to fit that goal that I had in mind. And the moment that you start reaching for your goals or kind of like working towards that money goal, it'll be much easier to stick to your budget and just start saving money. So that's pretty much how I started saving money, and I want to be able to share more of my tips and tricks and steps to buying a house, or how I use my credit card really effectively and get a lot of money from it. Please subscribe to be able to see more content about personal finance, because I really love sharing how I got to where I am today.